Great peace, great peace, great peace, great peace, great peace. I want to talk about America and how, we end up in situations that, you know, we try to prevent, if it's a bad situation, um, from occurring again. And also that, us living in ghettos. When I was, I would say 13, 14, going into high school. Um, I knew my situation was kind of like it was different, but at the same time, it wasn't. Um, I got to see like family members come and visit, but wherever they were going, right when they left, um, I knew it was better than my situation, right? Like, you growing up on the south side of Chicago, you see all the gang activity, and like I would always wonder, like, when my first friend, right, we were living on the south side of Chicago because we're from the low end, as you would call it. We're from the low end, and he left and went to Grand Rapids. I think we went to see a movie this day, and next thing I come back over his house, they were preparing to move to Grand Rapids, and I was like, here I am, you know, still in Chicago, and I'm just kind of going through the rigors of trying to grow up in a large city, a good city. It didn't take much. Like, you can just go from one side of the city and feel safe, as opposed to just living in an area that you didn't feel safe. And that was kind of like my situation. But I noticed, like, when I got older and I left and I went to Minnesota, um, I didn't want to come back to um, living in Southeast Michigan. I didn't want to come back to that. Um, Here I am in Michigan, right? And I'm being exposed to all type of things. Like, I'm meeting all different kinds of people. Um, and like, it was different because when you apply for a job, you got the job. It wasn't like living in a place like um, Inkster or Detroit, and you're applying for a job thinking you're going to get it, right, and you never get it. You never get the job. Like, here I am. I'm in Minnesota, and I'm getting all types of job offers, and I'm thinking, like, I'm living a life. Like, I'm living a life, and one thing that occurred that I wasn't ready for, and it was um, the creeping up of poor mental health, and that was because I was getting overworked. You working 40 hours plus a week plus more hours, and you're just not getting any sleep. And here at night you're working on the railroads, and here in the morning you're working at the nursing home, changing pampers and stuff like that. So I was just like, I gotta figure something out. I gotta figure something out. And I came back to Southeast Michigan. Bad mistake, right? Bad mistake. Like, it's some things that's just like cemented in our fate that we just can't, we can't change. You know what I mean? And that's because, like, some things are just kind of destined. Like, you don't know, like, when you walk outside the house that you're going to get hit by a car. or you're going to get mauled by a dog, or someone's going to try to stab you or shoot you. You just never know, right? Um, and it can just be an incident at a moment where a person feels like they have lost it in their brain and they feel like they just have to take it out on someone who they just randomly see. I've been in those type of situations in Southeast Michigan, so I think like, man, it's tough that, when, you know, you have everything you need in a sense, like, you have investments, you have incomes, and you just be like, I want to just up and leave, I want to take everything with me. And then sometimes where you can't take everything with you, you have certain things you want to take it with you and you want to pack up and leave and you can't, like you can't. Um, for matters that may concern um, a sort of cowardice in a sense. Maybe you feel like you're cowarding out of, backing out of something that you don't want to leave, or even in some instance where you feel like you don't want to make the mistake of losing what you already have in the instance that you're in the progress of moving. So the thing is that when I felt like I had to leave from Minnesota, like I had to leave, I didn't have anything. I just had a couple suits and that was it. I just left. And I ended up getting enrolled in school. I had room and board, and the school took care of everything for me. They helped me find housing, and I got housing. The thing is that once I started working so many hours, I knew it was time for me to go back to Michigan, and lay my head down and rest, because all the money I was saving up, it was going to be gone. You're paying two landlords and you're a tenant, and they're doing things behind the scenes, like, removing a thermostat and, coming by and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's just one of those things where you feel like, well, you're a teen now and you feel like you need home ownership. And that's the thing that I kind of took to myself, where I just said, like, I need home ownership. And that's the thing that I did. But the thing I didn't recognize was that while you invest in living in a home and you living in a community, that there will be people there messing it up for you. Like, you have, just that happens yesterday, right? A shooting in a community. You have all type of things that happen. And it's like, the community messes up, like the black community particularly. They mess up a lot of things, for the generations that is coming after. Because, like, even when you think nothing is happening, you think everything is right, when you do something, it affects the next generation. Like, even the fact that you keeping your kid's father away from the kids, that can be a problem. Because they're gonna grow up thinking like, I have no purpose. They're not going to, like, when I turned, like, I think I was like 24, I was looking for homes. 23, I was looking for homes. 22, I was looking for homes. I wasn't able to get my home until, I turned, what was it? 33, 30, I wasn't able to get my own home. So I had prepared for the instance that I would do something about my situation that no one else was helping me achieve. My parents weren't really in my life in that sense. Like, they weren't trying to help me achieve the things that I needed to achieve. So that was on me at this time, because once you become a full able adult, you have to figure things out on your own. And that's the thing. Like, I really want to see, like, governmental affairs kind of improve in that sense. It shouldn't be so much about branding a moment, LGBTQ. It shouldn't be about branding moments. It should be about actually getting resources in people's hand and doing what you need to do for them, like other governments do. Like, no one's marching around Papua New Guinea talking about LGBTQ rights instead of building homes. You know what I mean? Like if the people need homes, the community is going to come out as a government and build those homes. You don't see that happen in a black community. And to me, like the black community, it doesn't exist anymore. Like if you have, you know, man not enforcing, well, who can come and who can go, then it's not a black community. Then at that point, it's a widow community at that point. So I need people to really understand that, you know, when you have something that you value and you are fortunate about it, you have to do everything to protect it. And in this case, and you know, what we're talking about now, this topic, it has to be the community. You have to safeguard your community. I can't stress that enough. Because when I left Michigan and I went to Minnesota, I said, they got all of this up here. Like they have advanced rail systems, speedways, and, you know, they got all of this stuff up here. They got all types of immigration communities living alongside black people up here in Minneapolis. I saw that and I said, Detroit doesn't have that? I lost my mind. I was like, wow. Then I'll talk to people who are up there now who I knew from back then, and they tell me like it's a lot of homelessness now, you know. And I know a couple veterans up there, and you know they're not doing good themselves, you know. So it's like when you start to see things like that, that means too much sex has been happening, too much sex, too much drug abuse, and too much music and entertainment, too much of that. Because when I was up there, I knew it was finna go down. I knew it was finna go down a turn that I didn't want to see. You know, when I walked into my last job, you know, working at the nursing home, because I was a nursing for memory aid, a nurse for memory aid. And, you know, I was walking into the building. I saw a business across the street from the building. It was boarded up. And I was just thinking, like, this is around the time I was listening to a lot of sovereignty tapes. You know, so I started to see like, wow, you know, like it's really about to happen. And then it didn't happen. You know, you look back now and you go on Google Maps and look at, you know, something that was boarded up in 2015, 2016. You look now and it's probably open. You know what I mean? But again, you knew it went down the wrong path when you started to see like, you may have had homosexual men sleeping with women. You know what that means. And I saw it. You know what I mean? Like I saw it. It was just going a direction I didn't want to see. Now the black community deals with this, but on a level of, you know, well, I wouldn't even say that. You know, black people deal with this every day. They deal with it in the sense that it's in the community and they're not doing anything to affect it, to change it. You know what I mean? Like everything that, you know, Minneapolis is going through right now, in a sense that it is bad, Detroit is dealing with that now. Southeast Michigan, Inkster, we're dealing with that now. And like, you know, you see everything that goes bad and it's like, it doesn't matter how many times your mayor promised you that things are going to get better. It never does in this instance. But you look at a place like Minnesota, you know, 10 years, 15 years out, you know, if they still have, you know, the right investments happening and everybody is working, trying to get along and doing what they have to do, the city is going to change right back around and be back to where it was in 2014. It just is. And I heard that he was even better in the 90s, you know, so it's sad, man, but it's sad that you see a place like Michigan, Southeast Michigan, you see it, you know, they get investments downtown, but the investments don't come to the neighboring communities, you know, outside the metropolitan. It don't, you know, it doesn't come to the districts, you know, they don't. You know, you look at District 1, it's poor, you know, it's messed up. Until you get out, you know, outside the east side and parts of the west side, and then you get to parts of Livonia. That's when it gets better. You know, other than that, you know, wherever there's a lot of black people at, it's going to be a lot of crime. It's going to be a lot of neglect, a lot of silent violence. It's going to be a lot of that. And I don't know how to change it. I wish I could change it, but that's why I'm trying to work with people to figure out how I can make it better for the youth, because I know how it was for me as a youth growing up, leaving Chicago and coming to Southeast Michigan, going to Texas and finding out that, it's just better where black people aren't. Wherever black people aren't, it's just better. The quality of life, the quality of program, the quality of business, all throughout is just better. But I think when there's no family around, like your mother passed or your father passed, it's time for you to, leave. It's time for you to get out of that situation and just sell everything and start over. Because you're going to have to start over in life a lot of the times. You're going to have to start over. I started over a bunch of times. That's why I don't have the things that I had, that I left with. I don't have, I don't have the accounts that I had before. The banking accounts, I don't have them. So, think about this. Again, this is another video for the young people. You know what I mean? Like, think about that, because you're 20, 21, sitting on, your mother's couch or something like that. You want to think about going to school, and if you don't want to end up working at Burger King or McDonald's, for the part of, that part of your life, that should be time you're spending in school. You know what I mean? Because that's where you're going to be social, and that's where you're going to find out a lot of different things about your community. You may just want to travel if you don't want to go to school. You may just want to travel. Find a way to get money so you can travel. Just don't bog down yourself in being at, a neighborhood store where they're selling joint burgers. You don't want to do that. So great peace. Yakoki.